All right, in this video, we are going to do a bunch of band exercises to work on our glute strength. I'll mix in a little bit of scapular retraction just to work on posture. So here's our list of exercises for this round. We've got our fire hydrant, lateral walks, zigzag walks, moonwalk, scapular retraction, and then half moon rotations. I'll remind you of these and how many to do as we go. If you have bands, those would be really helpful. So these kind of bands are helpful for our zigzag and lateral walks. If you have a band like this, or anything that you can really pull with resistance, that will help for our scapular retraction. So let's go ahead and get started. If you have a band, that band is going to go up above your knees. So go ahead and slip your band on. Band goes up above our knees. So this one we're going to be standing, so we're going to bend into our hips, bend into our knee, and then I'm going to extend one leg back behind me, and then I'm opening out to the side. It's kind of like I'm a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. That's kind of where the name comes from. So think of that motion. It's external rotation at the hip, but I'm trying to keep my pelvis nice and stable. So all that movement is coming through my femur, or kind of this upper part of my thigh. We're shooting for 15 to 20 here. And as you do this, it's probably helpful to have your hand on something just for a little bit of help with balance. If you can do it without, that's great. But as we're going, you should start to feel your glutes working probably on both sides. And for this one, some of us are going to have a lot of range of motion, and others are going to have a pretty small range of motion, and that's okay. We really want to focus on using muscle and not momentum to get that movement. So even if you want to start by doing it without a band, that's fine. All right, once you've got your 15 to 20, let's switch sides. I'm going to do it from the side this time. So again, bend into your hips, bend into your knee. One leg goes back behind you a little bit, and then we're opening out to the side. So again, shooting for 15 or 20, and I'm really focused on nice and controlled. That might mean that it's really slow, and that's okay. With this, I should really start to be feeling it in the glute. You might feel it up here, glute med, but a lot of this is going to be the main glute max muscles that are working. So again, we're shooting for 15 to 20. As you're doing this, remember, try and keep that leg pushed back behind you a little bit. So we're in kind of a slight amount of hip extension. All right, once you've got your 15 or 20, stand up, shake it out a little bit, and then we're going to go lateral walk. So we're going to sit down into our squat, and we're going to glide along. So I'm just going to go back and forth to stay in the screen, but I would want you to just keep going in one direction, and you're going to go 15 to 20 in one direction, and then 15 or 20 the other direction. Some things to think about is trying to keep your knee moving with your foot. So our tendency is that we want to do something like this, where our knee kind of comes in as we reach, and then our knee follows. We want to keep knee moving with your foot, pushing out into that band. And again, we're shooting for 15 or 20 in each direction. I'm going to go from this side so you can see this. And I'm trying to stay low and glide along. I'm trying to make sure that I don't pop up and down. I'm just staying low, gliding along. Again, we're shooting for 15 or 20 in each direction. Okay, good work. Once you've got your 15 or 20, stand up, shake it out a little bit. Next one is zigzag. So I want you to pretend like there's a zigzag line right down in front of you. And we're going to be thinking about pushing and propelling ourselves forward. I'm going to go forward and back so I can stay facing the camera. But for now, I want you to just focus on going forward. If you feel really good about it, you can start to go backwards. So I'm going to go step, together, step, together, step, together, step, together, step, together, step, together. And as I'm doing this, when I go forward, I really want to push, 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 push. So when you're going forward, that back leg is propelling you forward. You're not reaching with the front leg. You're really trying to push yourself forward. So push, 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 push. If you start to feel really comfortable with this, you can actually start to make it more of a jump, like a little almost like we're skiing. If you're doing that, you still want to stay controlled and you don't want to drop into one of those hips. So really trying to get those glutes working as we push and propel ourselves forward. So with this one, I would shoot for 20 or 30 going forward. If you feel like you can do more, that's fine too. So once you hit that 20 or 30, stand up, shake it out a little bit. And the next one, I call moonwalk. So for this one, we are going to go out and around and then go into a little bit of hip extension. We're really trying to get our gluteus medius. So from here, I'm going to be I'm standing on my left foot now, and I'm going to take that right leg out and around, and then put my toe down and shift back onto that foot. And then out and around, left foot comes down, shift back onto that foot. I'm going to go from the side so you can see this. So I'm going to take this leg out and around, put my toe down, shift back onto that leg. Out and around, toe back, shift back onto that leg. Out and around, shift backwards. And as I'm doing this, I'm really trying to stay nice and balanced and controlled and trying to get that glute med on the side to do the work. Here I'm on one leg, so really working on that one leg stability. Just like when we run, we're going to spend some time that's only on one leg. I also want you to focus on the extension part, so on the part where you are trying to go backwards. So I don't really want my leg to come forward a lot. I mostly want it to go out to the side, backwards, and around. Out to the side, backwards, and around. Let's shoot from 15 to 20. So maybe we're shooting for about 10 on each leg. Okay. All right, once you've gotten your 15 or 20 there, we're going to go scapular retraction, so you can pull that band off. And if you have a band like this, that would be helpful, or just something that can give you a little bit of resistance. It doesn't take a lot. So here we're working on, a lot of us, either from running or from working, we kind of get a hunched over posture and our chest really closed. We're going to work on opening that chest up. That helps us with good spinal posture and health, but it also helps us become more efficient so that we're not running like this. We want to be running like this as much as we can. Makes us more efficient. So band straight out in front, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that band as wide as I can. As I'm doing this, I'm really thinking about pulling my shoulder blades or my scapula back and together. So it's like I'm trying to pinch those two shoulder blades together. So I think of it as pulling back and down. So back and down with the scapula. We're going to shoot for about 20 of these. I'm going to turn this way so you can see this a little bit. I'm really thinking about pulling back and down. And we're really trying to engage what's called the trapezius muscle, but specifically, we want to get the lower portion of the trapezius muscle. So I don't want my shoulders to come up this way. I want them to come down this way. So not up like this, down like this. So let's try and shoot for a few more, really pulling those shoulder blades back and down together. I would be shooting for about 20 here. Okay, from there, when you feel like you're ready, we're just going to change the angle a little bit. So I'm just going to move my hands up about 45 degrees. If you can see this, so it's just like up about the height of my forehead. And same thing, I'm going to pull my shoulder blades back and down. So really trying to squeeze the scapula together and thinking about pulling those shoulder blades back and down. Let's shoot for somewhere between 10 and 20 in this position. As I go, I know for myself, I have to remind myself to keep pulling down because my tendency is that my arms want to start going up this way. So I really got to remind myself to use those lower trapezius muscles. A couple more here. All right, our last one for this set is going to be half moon rotations. So for this one, I would find something that you can at least have a finger on to give you a little bit of extra balance. So I'm going to put my fingers on the wall here, and I'm gonna be on my left foot, and I'm gonna try and get my hips level here and extend back with that right leg to see how my back is nice and flat. I can be nice and long here. And I'm really thinking about trying to get those hips level, so not open like this, trying to level them off and really reach long here and get long through my spine. For a lot of us, this is all we can start with, so maybe we're going to just start with holding here for about 40 to 60 seconds. If we're feeling okay about that, then what we're going to do is we're going to start to do a little rotation. So we're going to rotate open and close, open and close. And that rotation is coming around this leg that's on the ground. Everything else is kind of staying still, and I'm just rotating around that left femur. I'm also thinking about pushing into that leg that's on the ground. For this one, I would be shooting for about 15 to 20 of these, although you might have to build your way up to that. Let's see if we can get a couple more. Okay, good. Let's do the other side. So turning to that other side, again, we're going to hinge forward, getting our hips nice and level. Notice that I'm bent in my knee here because my hamstrings aren't flexible enough to keep that leg straight. So I'm bent here, hinged forward, hips are level. I'm reaching through that back leg and trying to keep my spine nice and long. So again, for some of us, this might be where we're going to stay. Maybe we're just going to hold here, really thinking about pushing through that foot that's on the ground and also reaching through this leg that's in the air and getting that spine nice and long. If we feel good, we can start to do some of our rotations. So opening and closing. I like to also keep my hand on my low back to make sure I'm keeping that level and that I'm not rotating through my spine. I'm really rotating through my hip. And as I close that rotation, I have to really think about getting into that hip. So really pushing my way into that hip, trying to get all the way closed. So again, shooting for 15 to 20, but you might have to build there. So let's just do a couple more. All right, so we should be feeling that in our glutes. All right, good work. So that was our ab and band workout. Here was that workout again. So if you want to write those down, feel free to go ahead and do that. Good work.